All right, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Ryan Cooks, which is apparently the name that I'm giving this. Um, yeah, so today we are making a roasted butterflied chicken as per the instructions in The Food Lab by Kenji Lopez-Alt. Uh, Everything I've made of his has been fantastic. I really recommend it very highly. Um, he's a fantastic chef, and he really has a relatable way of uh, showing what he's doing. He actually has a really good video on how to butterfly a chicken or turkey, um, which I highly recommend watching. I've watched it a couple times. I've never actually butterflied a chicken, however, so this is going to be a first for me. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab instead of my normal cutting board, which I don't really want to get covered in chicken juices, we're going to grab a plastic one. I'm going to move this cookbook away, and we're going to bring over our chicken. I've just got a small chicken here, and I'm really hoping this is a full chicken. It's supposed to be, but that does say thighs on it. And if it is only thighs, then we will have to swap to a different one. I think it's a full chicken. Pretty sure it is. We will find out. And where did I just put my kitchen shears? That's where they are. All right. Got some chicken shear or some kitchen shears here. We're going to take a look at this and just make sure that this is indeed a full chicken. Because like I said, it's supposed to be. Just a little bit concerned by the fact it says thighs on there, which is probably something I should have ascertained earlier, but nope, these are just the thighs. Well, that's good to know. I will put these back into a bag and seal them away, and then I will pull out my standby chicken because it's always good to have a standby. And the standby is just a bit bigger than this was going to be, so that's okay. It just means that we'll have a little bit of extra cooking time. Not a big deal. Make sure to always wash your hands after handling anything raw. Just going to make sure I get all the air out of that. We don't want to have any air among our chicken. And I'm going to toss it right back into the freezer until I can use the thighs somewhere else. All right. I'm going to throw this out. And I'm going to use the flexibility of this to hopefully contain all of that juice and just quickly give it a quick rinse off. Alrighty, so we've got our workspace clean again. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pull out the standby chicken. And we'll prep this one. All right, so this is a slightly larger one. I thought I got a 2.5 pound bird. This one is going to be about 6 pounds, so it is a little bit bigger than I was originally anticipating. So I will definitely have some leftovers. Gonna cut this open. I'm gonna pour out some of this liquid here. Don't need to keep it. Oop, and now it's spilling everywhere. Probably should have been a little bit more careful with that, but oh well. And I know off camera I'm just pulling the packaging off and making sure that I've quickly removed some of the liquid. We're going to need to pat this dry in a second anyway. I'm just trying to make sure I don't get it all over the work surface. Alright, I think I've gotten most of it out. Well, I say that and a little bit more comes out. Okay, I think we should be good there. Alright, so we've got a pretty large bird there. This is normally what I would call probably a stew bird. So it would be really useful if we were making stock. And actually, when we make this, we are going to be pulling out some stuff to make some great stock. So I will have stock in my future. All right. So the first thing he recommends doing is we're going to put it breast side down, and we're going to start cutting out the backbone. So this is probably not the episode to watch if you have problems with, cutting stuff out. We're going to end up cutting out this whole thing here. And like I said, I haven't done this before. So I could get halfway through this and completely mess it up. Or I could actually just mess it up from the start. Anything is possible. But we're going to just try and cut out this bit here. That's going to be the spine, which we're going to set aside for use in our stock later. And actually, we can make a nice gravy out of it. So maybe I'll do that. But let's see, let me double check the picture here. Make sure I'm cutting at the right spot. Just says, all right, just make a cut right where the meat meets the side of the tail, which is going to be here. And cut through. And what we're doing here is we are cutting out the spine, so we're cutting through some bones. So kitchen shears are a really good thing to have here. Come on. My cat's sniffing around. I got that there. I realized today when I was getting ready to prep this that I didn't actually have any kitchen shears. I thought that I did, but I don't use them very often. So they don't come up that often. At least they haven't. So I was looking around, I was getting ready to make this, and I was like, wait, where are my kitchen shears? I had to run out, and Target has the curbside pickup right now, or the drive-up pickup. Just kind of hop right in, and it's right there. All right, so we've got the spine here. Let me make sure that I've... see, flip and snip, blah, blah, blah. Cut around the thigh. Blah, 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 repeat. Alright, so we just need to make sure that, as I wash my hands again, it's always good to wash your hands a lot. Oh, and I spilled a little bit of the juice, and now my cat's trying to eat it, so I'm going to wipe that up, much to her chagrin. She's not going to appreciate that, but it's not something she should really get into. Alright, so we're going to finish kind of cutting around here. And there we go. Alright. So we've removed the spine, and I may have actually trimmed a little bit too close along here. So I can go back and I can cut that back a little bit further. Wasn't sure exactly where to cut it. You can only tell so much from a video. So let's do that. It's making all sorts of interesting crackling sounds. And then we're just going to get right in along here. I think that's a thigh bone. Oh, no, that's the thigh bone. It's a wing bone. I don't really know chicken anatomy. There we go. Alright, so that's the rest of the spine. We're going to set this aside. And we're going to put this in this bowl because we're going to be able to use this again in a little bit. Because that'll be fantastic for some stock. Alright, so got that. Says use your fingers or the shears to remove any large pockets of fat and clean out any exposed marrow from the bones. Alright, so we're going to pull this out. There is some fat here we can remove. A bit along in here. Alright. I don't know that I can really get rid of that marrow. Cool. Alright. I think that's most of what we can do. Most of this other stuff isn't really coming out. Alright. Cool. Oh, that's the bone there. And there's another one there. Cool. Alright. So next up, we're going to flip the bird back over and tuck the wingtips underneath the breasts to help keep them in place. Get rid of these. Just toss in with the rest of our discards. I can pull them out later if we shouldn't put those in the stock. I need to double check. Alrighty. So we're going to be, when we make it, we're going to be kind of making it like this. We roast it. Alrighty. Flip and tuck. Am I flipping those backwards? Okay. Alright, splay the bird out in a manner that can only be described as inappropriate. Then place your palms firmly upon the breast and press down hard on the ridge of the breastbone until it lies flat. You might hear some cracks. Alright. So, try to get this pit here to lay flat. That is a crack. That's another crack. Tuck that like that. I think that's about as flat as it's going to get. It's splayed out. I can feel the breastbone there. Breastbone there kind of did snap, so I think we're in pretty good shape there. Alrighty, next up, the bird's now ready to roast. Alright, so I washed my hands again so I can consult the book. If you haven't, you should really pull up, I have in the description a link to this recipe that I'm using, which I think actually does describe how to butterfly chicken as well. Or there's a link to it on the page at least. And it's off to Serious Eats, and you really should check it out if you haven't already. Alright, so we're going to adjust an oven rack over here to the upper position, upper middle, so that's where I have it. I know you can't see this, but it's there. You'll have to just trust me. I'm going to get the oven preheated to 450 while we finish up here. And that should take it a couple minutes. All right, so we're going to dry the chicken thoroughly with paper towels. Seems easy enough. I've got some paper towels here. I'm just going to kind of pat it dry. Try and get in everywhere. I think it's primarily stuff on the top that we're concerned about. If I'm remembering what what Kenji said in his recipe before, or his video before rather. Making a mental note to make sure I thoroughly clean down this tabletop here. Got that tucked there, got that tucked there. Alright, that looks pretty dry to me. And now we are going to separate the skin from the breasts. Alright, that's something I'm not 100% certain how to do, but there is a reference to another page, which is 586 in the food lab. Again, if you don't have the food lab, you really should. It's pretty awesome. And it says basically it's just a flap of skin. We're going to kind of just go up that. And we're going to then get some olive oil and get it underneath and on the skin. We're going to also season the exterior with salt and pepper. So that's down here. A little flap here, and yep, that does appear to be the skin. So we're just going to kind of work our way in here and gently try to pull the skin out. This feels incredibly inappropriate. Alright. I think that's doing pretty good. Yep, there we go. This is going to help make sure that we get that crunchy skin. Because we'll be able to season underneath this with a little bit of salt and a little bit of olive oil. And that's what we're looking for. Oop, tore it a little bit there. All right, so let's get that olive oil. We're going to start spreading that around. And let's see, chicken olive oil. All right, cool. Yes, all over and under the skin. All right. Again, this is to make sure that we get that skin nice and kind of crunchy, the way that it really should be. A little bit of lint there. I guess my apron isn't as lint-free as I thought it was. All right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to season this with some salt and pepper. We're going to get the salt up underneath the skin as well to kind of help pull some of that moisture out. But before I pick up the salt, I've got to make sure hands are washed. I swear I go through so much soap. Well, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so it's probably not exactly a bad thing. Alrighty, so I got my salt here. And we're just going to come in. We're going to sprinkle it all over. salt. Not too worried about using too much salt here. Go up. I've got plenty of salt on my hands, so go up and rub some of that into up there. Alrighty. I think that's a pretty decent amount of salt. We're going to do the same with some, I'm going to grab some pepper. Yeah. Kind of figure the more I wash my hands, the less likely it is that I'll accidentally contaminate something. Which would be a good thing. Contamination's never good. Alright, we're just going to get some black pepper here. I need to get some more pepper apparently. We're going to just season this generously. This should be all we need in terms of seasoning. I might be able to actually add a little bit more oil as well. Yeah, let's add a little bit more oil. Olive oil is always a good thing. Just going to kind of massage this around. Kind of get some of that pepper more evenly spread. Make sure that it's kind of all over. Try and make sure this wingtip is in there. We want to make sure that the wings are folded in so that they don't get overexposed to the heat and don't dry out too fast or don't burn. Alrighty. So, next up, I think that's what we needed to do. So next up, we're going to get a wire rack on a rimmed baking sheet lined with aluminum foil. I happen to have a baking sheet here, which is out of frame because I have a small kitchen, and it is really hard to properly show everything all at the same time. But I am lining this baking sheet with aluminum foil. At least as well as I can. Just going to fold it over here at this other end. Whenever I use foil, I'm always reminded of that Weird Al song about aluminum foil as all I can do to not break into song. But I think that YouTube's Content ID would probably not like that. Alright, so I've got the foil in there, and I've got a wire rack in there as well. So we've got the wire rack over the aluminum foil, which is over the rimmed baking sheet. And this is what we're going to be putting our chicken on. Yeah, alright. Let's see, how am I going to do this? I don't have enough hands. What I might do, I feel like this is probably going to be a bad idea. But I'll try it. And if it's a bad idea, at least I will have known that it was in advance. We're going to try and pick this up. And I'm going to see if I can get it on here. I'm pretty sure you can't see any of this on camera. But not much I can really do about that. Alright, so it's at least on there. Let's move this. Get that off, get my hands at least slightly clean. Then I'm going to quickly wipe off this countertop here. Move this out of the way. Just gotta kind of wipe stuff down a little bit. I'll come through and actually spray clean this in a minute when this is in the oven. Alright, so got our bird on here. And it just says halfway in the center. Alright, so the breasts need to be in the center, which is where they are. And those legs are close to the edges, which I think that they are. So we're going to just make sure that, I swear this wing does not want to properly pop into position. Make sure that everything is all spread about as well as it can be. We do want it to be spread out fairly flat so everything cooks roughly evenly. Come on, tuck in there. The other side does it, why don't you? Alright, well, hopefully that stays well enough. Alright, so we're going to pop this in the oven, which has now finished preheating. And this will be in there for, we'll start it with 25 minutes. And I'll even put a timer up on screen, because that's something I've now figured out how to do. Oh, actually it says 35 minutes. Okay, well, might have to adjust that timer then. All right, we're going to take this. I'm going to point you guys at the floor. And slightly off to the side here. And hopefully that means I won't slam the door into it. Okay. And straight in. Yeah, it looks like we are at about 375, so it's got a little ways to go. Hopefully not too bad. And let me get that timer set. Gonna do this for 35 minutes. So timer 35:00. Start. Okay. I've got the timer going. Let me throw that up on screen. And boy, that's hopefully going to be more visible in a minute. I should probably put like a box or something behind that. All right. So we're going to pop back up here. And I'm just going to talk for a minute while I kind of get stuff cleaned up again. And then we'll go on to making the gravy, which I think I've got all the ingredients for. I meant to check earlier and never quite got around to it. But hopefully it'll work. And if it doesn't, you know, it's my bad. There's always ways to make substitutions. Alrighty. Just make sure that I've got everything cleaned off. Because a clean kitchen is a healthy kitchen. Okay, so get the cutting board back over here. That's oriented properly. So what we're going to be doing is this quick juice. I don't know. It feels like it feels like that shouldn't be spelled. This shouldn't be pronounced juice, but it might be. I'm not really sure. So we're going to be taking the chicken backbone. It also wants the neck, but this didn't have a neck. So there's not too much we can really do there. We're going to be taking, I've got some thyme, some fresh thyme. So it calls for thyme or rosemary or oregano. And the only one of those that I have that is actually fresh is thyme. So that's what we'll be using. Um, we'll be using an onion, which is roughly chopped. I've actually got some from the other day that I'm going to use. It'll be about 3/4 of an onion, but that should be just fine. Pretty sure I've got a carrot. I know I've got celery. I've got a bay leaf. The dry vermouth, I'm not actually entirely certain. I've got a lot of different types of cooking alcohol. I'm not specifically certain about the vermouth, but I will. I'm sure I've got something that will take the place of it just fine. And then apart from that, we're going to do probably a cup of water, although I might have some chicken stock left over. Yes, I do. Okay, so we'll use a cup of water. Oh, and that looks like it's probably vermouth. Cool. Um, apart from that, it's just going to be some soy sauce, some butter, and some lemon juice, and then some salt and ground pepper. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of get some stuff ready. So we're going to start off with the chicken backbone and neck roughly chopped with a cleaver. I don't actually have a cleaver. It's probably something I should get, but I don't have one. I'm going to throw away these organs and giblets that I don't think I can actually use after all. And I'm going to grab another plastic cutting board to cut this on because I'm not going to get it on my nice bamboo board if I can help it. I love these flexible plastic ones. They take a beating. Tell mine have been well used. Had them for years. Love them. Set that there to stick them back into. And since it says cleaver, what it really means is, a large heavy knife. And I'm just going to use one of my chef's knives. I'm not going to use either of my two really nice ones. I'm going to use this is my third favorite chef's knife. I've got three. It's perfectly fine. It's just a little bit smaller. Had it for a bit longer. It's not quite as sharp, but it'll do this just fine. Or at least it should. I say that and I'm not able to keep it straight. Maybe I should go back and get those kitchen shears. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Probably smarter than trying to push too hard on a knife that could twist out of my hands. So let me quickly, I already dropped them in the sink, I'm just going to give the shears a quick scrub. Just to make sure that, again, no cross-contamination anywhere. Contamination is very much not our friend. That's how you get food poisoning. Alrighty. Get these dried off a little bit. And yeah, that's much easier. Leverage. Leverage works every time. Well, most of the time. There we go. Ooh, that one was hard. Alright, that should be good. I'm going to put these away. Toss those in there. Wash our hands again. Should see if I can get a soap company to sponsor me. All right. Put this away. At least not fully away. I'm just setting it aside because I might need it again. And I'm going to put these away. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab some of my time. Grab some scissors for that. Oh, that's not a great camera angle. Let's try that. Is that any better? Who knows? Yeah, that looks a little bit better. I can actually also remove the oven time remaining notification. Thematically, it works a little bit better up on the top, but in terms of something counting down, but in terms of actual practicalness, not so much. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab some of my time here. Maybe a little bit more. I have an aero garden, hydroponics garden, which I'm using for herbs. And it is all kinds of awesome. I think that a little bit more might be useful. It's also right behind my dishwasher, so if I'm not careful, the dishwasher starts up. All right, so we're going to just kind of cut this up a little bit because it says it wants it chopped, but let's be honest, just kind of cutting it up works just fine. After all, what is scissors if not, or what are scissors if not knives that you don't need to have a cutting board for? Man, this stuff is so fragrant. All right, I'm going to get a little ramekin to put those in. I'm going to go ahead and drop that in. I'm going to grab my bench scraper so that I can pick that up without hopelessly crushing it. I'm not trying to hopelessly crush it, just crush it a little bit, bruise it gently. All right, so I'm going to set that over here. Next up, we're going to need to get an onion, which is roughly chopped. I happen to already have an onion, which is already mostly chopped. Got about a quarter of the onion already cut up in the bottom down there. Maybe slightly closer to minced than cut up. And I think we'll be just fine with just this other half. I am just going to do a rough chop here. Always be mindful of where your fingers are. Alrighty. Yeah, I almost got it all in nicely. It's always amazing how much more space something takes up once you chop it. It's almost like it's harder to pack a bunch of things into a small package when it's roughly cut, as opposed to when it's a single dense package, because of the addition of, extra space. All right, so we've got our onion, we've got our thyme, and let's see what else. We're gonna need to have a carrot. I think I've got a carrot. I'll pull out the celery while I'm at it here too. Hey, look, I've got carrots. Let's see, I said a medium carrot. How big's a medium carrot? You think that's a medium carrot? No, that's a medium carrot. Okay. These carrots have clearly been in here for a week or two. Got a carrot. Maybe a little sad carrot, but it's a carrot nonetheless. Try and make sure I use up all the stuff in my fridge. And I'm going to pull out this celery here, which is in one of those impossible packages that you are like, how did they even manage to get this stuff in there in the first place? And we'll use, I think, this stock. All right. Carrot and celery. I'll give those a quick wash. What else do I need? A bay leaf. Okay. Bay leaf. Yeah, I've got bay leaves. I've got dried bay leaves. I don't have fresh bay leaves, but I think that'll be okay. All right, let's get these washed over here. I've been asked why I don't just have everything prepped in advance, and honestly, that's for two reasons. Firstly, I'm a little bit lazy, and prepping stuff in advance is usually that just takes a little bit of extra planning, and I'm just not about that all the time. And secondly, it's because if anyone else is cooking along, which I invite everyone to do, I try to always make sure these streams get scheduled at least a few hours in advance. So theoretically, if anyone was interested, you could you'd have time to go get the ingredients, whether through delivery or just going to a grocery store. And then you could cook along as well, and you won't necessarily have everything prepped. So there's a few things that I'll prep in advance, like my pizza dough. So if I do pizza again, I will have that prepped in advance. But apart from that, I do most of my prep during the stream because that's realistically how long it takes to cook. All right. And hey, we're all about the realism here, aren't we? Yep. I've got to say, peeling a carrot with a knife is one of those things that, like, you look at them doing it like a professional chef doing it, and they do it in like 4 strokes. But I'm quickly realizing as I do it here, it's not nearly as easy as they make it look. It's almost like they've got tons of practice or something. Nah, that can't be it. It's just gotta be blind luck. Every time the cameras are turned on them, they just get really lucky. Over and over and over again. It can't be the years of training and skill. Or maybe it could be. I don't know. Alrighty. Got that. Probably shaved off a little bit too much of that carrot, but hey, that's okay. This is home cooking. It's not professional cooking. We're just going to kind of roughly chop that. Same with this. there's a spot there, and I don't know if I really like the way that looks, so we're going to get rid of that. Get rid of this. I think this celery is kind of at the end of its useful life. I think I need to get another stock. I swear it wilts pretty fast. This stuff's not that old. It's like maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. All right, I've got a stalk of celery chopped in a medium fashion. So we're going to bring the camera over to the stove. I think it is time to get started on the juice. Juice. However you pronounce that. However you pronounce it's probably not the way that I'm pronouncing it, because you're probably closer to being right than I am. All right. Why is the camera never quite wants to go exactly where I want it to? There we go. Okay. Put the cookbook over here, so I will continue to have to turn around in order to look at it, but we're going to do this all in, let's see, it recommends in a small saucepan. How small? I mean, this is like, there's a fair amount of stuff in here. I guess that's probably okay. It'll probably all fit in that. Put the celery in water and it will stay crisp. You know, that's probably a good idea. That seems like good advice. That also requires me to think ahead. That's not always a practical requirement. All right, we're going to get the oil nice and shimmering. Over high heat, it says. All right. High heat on this stove can actually get pretty high. So we're going to let that heat up briefly. I've got the chicken backbone here. It's a fairly thin pan, so it does heat up pretty fast. That looks like it's starting to actually get pretty close to shimmering to me. Yep, that's just about ready. All right. So let's get this chicken backbone in here. Oof. Yep, that was definitely ready. That's definitely hot. You get like a microphone for the stove or something so you guys can hear when stuff really starts to sizzle. Never know exactly what's coming through my the microphone next to my face. I suspect not nearly as much, but that was a pretty solid sizzle. Yeah, it's actually continuing to do quite a lot of sizzling. So this will need to brown for a moment. So we're going to let it do that. As soon as it is browned, we're going to be adding in the herbs, the onion, the carrot, and the celery. So I'm actually going to dump, while I'm letting all that brown over there, off camera, I'm grabbing all the stuff we just chopped, and I'm making sure that it's ready to go. Ooh, that's a nice red color on that burner. I'm going to get that chicken stock ready. Alrighty, got that. And I'm going to see if I can figure out where I just said that vermouth was. I swear it was here. Oh, yep, right there. The big thing that says vermouth. Pretty decent giveaway. Okay, that's all looking pretty well brown to me, I think. The flying oil coming out of the pan is really helping to convince me of that. So we're going to get our onion in there, our carrot, and our celery, and our fresh thyme. I'm going to immediately dump some of the onion back out on the stove for good luck, because that's how that works. I'm really thinking I should maybe turn down the heat a little bit. I know Kenji's like, oh yeah, put it on high heat, and he's got a gas burner, which, you know, gets hotter than this, but maybe he was thinking that it was going to be a bigger saucepan. I mean, he did say it was a small saucepan, but hey, what do I know? Ready. Add the bay leaf and deglaze the pan. Alright, so let's get that bay leaf out here. Brand new thing of bay leaves. And it comes with, so this is a container of leaves. It comes with this thing. This thing! Am I supposed to like shake the bay leaves out through it? I feel like they may not have understood exactly what bay leaves are used for. Any of that stuff. Also, this is one of the lift and peel things, and it is just not working. Oh, there it goes. Pulled off half the lift and peel first, but alrighty. Scrape down the sides here a little bit. I will say that the fond in the bottom is looking pretty excellent. I know that the camera doesn't show it, but this is going to be pretty good, I think. Gonna let that go for another couple seconds. I'm gonna reclaim some of the onion that just fell out. Normally I wouldn't worry about it too much, but since we were already starting with a little light, we're starting a little light on the onion. So let's see, let's grab a nice sized bay leaf here. Maybe a couple of the smaller ones as opposed to, oh nope, that's a pretty nice sized one. Alright, so we'll use that one. Put the rest of these away. I think that that's definitely, yeah, that's definitely looking pretty good. Alright, so we are going to add the bay leaf, and then it says to deglaze with the vermouth and water. Alright, but we're using chicken stock, so there's the bay leaf. It's got about a cup of vermouth. Then about a cup of the chicken stock. think I may have gone a little bit light on that vermouth. Not to worry, we'll just dump a little bit more in. That'll help to make sure everything is properly deglazed off the bottom. And as always, you've got to make sure to dump just a little bit out of your pot as you do it. Is for good luck and not a mistake. All right, we're going to reduce the heat and just going to kind of keep this simmering for about 20 minutes. I mean, approximately. So, all right. I think we got some of the burn stuff up off the bottom for that fond. And I think that this should be pretty good. So make sure I get everything in there so it can all simmer happily. Alrighty, put the chicken stock away. And put the vermouth away. I still don't feel like I put a full cup in. That's probably okay. Oh, and then it says... Okay, and then after that we'll do a little bit more reducing, put in some lemon juice and some other stuff. All right, let's take a look and see how that turkey's going. We've got about 6 minutes until it should be done. So I'm gonna point you at the ground, then up here. Let's try turning this light on. Somewhere here there should be a good picture. I don't know where exactly, but somewhere. Maybe if I do this. Doesn't look like a horrible picture. That is looking pretty good in there. All right, I'm gonna let this go with the oven for a couple minutes, and we'll check back in about 5 minutes. so the timer has ended. So we're going to take our instant read thermometer and we're going to make sure that the fattest part has gotten to at least 145 at the part of the breast, the thickest part of the breast close to the bone, and then that the joint between the thighs and the body registers about 160 degrees. So we're going to go ahead and pull this back. And I'm going to try very hard not to burn myself while I do this, because burning myself while doing this is a very me sort of thing to do, and I would really rather not. Got a thermometer there, got this simmering away and smelling pretty great. Oof. I don't think that's there yet. Nope, not quite. Alright, so this is going to have to go in for probably another, let's say, let's try it again in about 5 minutes or so. Hopefully I didn't release too much heat there with that door, but we'll give it a shot in about another 5 minutes. Okay, so we've left that in there for about another 5 minutes. We're going to go ahead and back this up. We're going to see if that's any better. Where did I just put? There's the thermometer. So once again, we're looking for 145 degrees closest to the, or in the breast, and then about 160 in the joint. Oof, that's a little steamy. And that skin looks pretty awesome. And that's getting pretty close, but it's not quite there. So close. Yep. Alright, probably got another 5 minutes or so. At this point, it's just checking it until the thermometer reads that everything is safe. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back and set this back up and set a timer for about another 5 minutes. And hopefully that'll be the end of it. been about another 5 minutes, so we're gonna go ahead and once again check to see if we can safely pull this out of the oven, because after we pull it out, it's got to cool for a few minutes. And I would prefer that happen soon. Skin looks amazing. Alright, let's get this in here. That's 160, it looks like to me. Well, actually, it's 159.8, so I think that's probably close enough. And then the breast. Yep, that's fine. That's 125. All right. So this can go ahead and come out. Off. Looks like that wing did pop up. I was kind of afraid that it would. But it doesn't look like it got too crispy. All right, so let me rearrange the camera and show off what we have. So, we've got a very nice looking bird here. The skin, I can tell from here, is incredibly crispy, and it just looks awesome. So I'm looking forward to actually be able to try this. So now the instructions say that we need to tent this with foil and let it sit for about 10 minutes, I think. Yep. Tent loosely with foil after transferring the chicken to a cutting board. All right, so we're going to put it back over here on the cutting board. Then we're going to tent it with foil. Allow it to rest for about 10 minutes. We should be about perfect for this, because I'll be coming back over here to finish up with this in a moment. So let's move the camera over here. Point it back down. Alrighty. Move my knife over there. Scrap bit of carrot there. And then I'm going to see how I can effectively move this. It's always the hardest part. Moving stuff without burning yourself. Alright, so I've got it there. So maybe if I get like a... I guess I could just grab like a spatula and try to lift up underneath on one side and slide it off. Probably can't go horribly wrong like that, right? I mean, I can always have it go horribly wrong somehow, but it's less likely to just have it go horribly wrong, I think. Ooh, ooh. All right. And they're just like that. Cool. Okay, side note, touching a sheet pan that's at 450 degrees is extremely hot. Don't do that. Cool. Alright, so we've got this. I'm going to grab some foil after first running my hand underneath some water, because 450 degrees is very hot. Alright, so foil. I will once again resist the urge to break out into song. That looks like it's tented loosely with foil. Alright, and now let's go back over here. Take a look at our pot. I'm going to move my cast iron over here. spin this around so that's not covering everything. I know that you can't see any of that, but trust me, it was starting to get in the way. And then, like I said, it's extremely hot. Okay, so it's been the right amount of time for this. So what we're going to do is whatever the recipe says to do. Strain the sauce and return it to the pan. Okay. I can do that. So I'm going to grab a sieve. Yeah, that might be a little too fine. I feel like a less fine sieve would probably be better. So we'll go with this colander of sorts. It's a colander, just maybe the holes aren't quite as big as a normal colander. So we're going to use this. I'm going to put this into a bowl. Yeah, we'll probably be getting about that much out of it, but it'll be difficult to actually get the colander in there, so we're going to do it like this. That way I can rest that in there, I can lift this up. That handle's not too hot, alright. So we're going to go ahead, just dump all of this in here. I got most of the stuff that was burned off the bottom. Really scraping the pan out here because we're going to be returning the sauce to the pan. It's going to continue reducing a little. That looks pretty good to me. Just make sure that all of that goodness is out. All right. So we've got that, and then into that, we're going to boil it until we're reduced to approximately 1/3 cup. So we're going to heat this up a bit more and let it start to boil. Should take about 7 minutes or so over medium-high heat. So I'm going to go ahead and get the timer put up here again so that I can keep that in mind. And instead of that saying oven timer, I think that we could probably just have it say time remaining. I think would probably be pretty good. All right. Got about 7 minutes on that. Boy, that's nice. That's coming up to a very nice boil. This is going to reduce it down pretty nicely. And while this is boiling down, I'm just going to reorient this a little bit here. While this is boiling down, I'm grabbing the stuff that's going to go into it once it's off the heat. We're going to get in some soy sauce, we're going to get some butter and some lemon juice, and then it should be about ready to serve alongside the chicken. So we're probably getting closely into the stream here because once this is done and the chicken's ready, and be time to eat. looks like it's about done, so I've turned off the heat. Just lift this off here for a second to get it to stop boiling. Yeah, that looks like that's probably about, it might be half a cup, so we might be slightly over what it would prefer. But we should still be pretty good there. Turned off the heat, and it'll probably start boiling here again in a second. But let's see here. We're going to be putting in 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, about 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, and about a teaspoon of soy sauce. And then taste as preferred with salt and pepper, of course. So I've got the butter here. Just going to cut this up into some pieces. Increase the surface area, get it to melt faster. So this is about 2 tablespoons. We're just going to slide right in there. Get about another tablespoon. That one could just fend for itself. Alright, so we've got those. Let's get a couple of teaspoons of lemon juice. Maybe a little bit more. There we go, that's about 2 teaspoons. And then a teaspoon of soy sauce. Should be about there. We're going to go ahead and just stir all this together. Until it's fully incorporated. So enough residual heat from the burner that's keeping it, it's going to keep it nice and warm here for a minute. And I'm going to grab a spoon and just quickly taste it. Alright, so that's really flavorful, but it does need some salt and pepper. So we're going to go ahead and add in some pepper. Maybe a little bit more. Alrighty, and now for our salt. Got the good old box of salt here. Just gonna put in a couple pinches of that. Make sure all this is stirred around. Scrape down that spatula a little. I've got some salt and pepper on that. Alrighty. Let's give that a taste. Alright, and that is excellent. Alright, so that will be perfect to go along with our chicken, which has cooled and is looking amazing. And frankly, I cannot wait to eat this, so I'm not going to. I'm gonna say thank you for hanging out here, and thanks for watching. And tune in next time. I haven't figured out what I'm gonna do yet, but I'll do something, and it will probably be delicious. I can't promise it'll be as delicious as this looks, but it should be pretty good. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.